Welcome back to Appalachian Dim Sum.
Where our movies or anime, our video games, whatever else we do, are our comfort food.
Yeah, this is episode 35, coffee service for this month.
Yeah, closing up this month's activities, I guess. And we do have our coffee.
We got our coffee, and this month's main topic was The Empty Man.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen that and have no idea what that is, you really should track the movie down.
Oh yeah, it was very good.
Then go back and check our main course, which would have been 2 episodes ago.
2 episodes, yep.
Where we kind of go into it and just take your thoughts from watching it, compare them to ours, see how you interpreted the movie, because it's a mind blower of a film. It's really one of those things that's, if you haven't heard of it, it's a shame that you haven't. I don't know what makes. We talked about it because it sort of has a cult following. It kind of developed one. It did not do well when it came out. And then on top of it having a cult following, it is about a cult.
Yeah.
Which does kind of bring us back around to where we are right now.
And our topic for the coffee service, we usually try to tie it in, is not cult films, but films with cults.
Films with cults. So
Yeah.
Not Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
But lots of movies that have some, sort of pagan type religion things, yeah. Cult things. It's a pretty broad category.
It is broad. And the 3 movies I chose, I was trying to kind of pick different kinds of cults.
I didn't probably go in trying to even think about what kind of cult. I just thought of the first 3 movies. When you think about movies like this outside of The Empty Man, that stick out in my head as something that's like, wow, that was like a cult thing, and it was a good movie. And 2 of them are actually from the same directors that I picked, and actually kind of events from both movies crossover.
Okay, so they're not like sequels to each other, but they're related.
They're intertwined.
Okay.
And when we get to talking about it, you'll see then what I say now is I really do not know how to explain these movies or what to think about them. But much like The Empty Man, I like something that really kind of leaves you scratching your noggin. And Empty Man doesn't so much. Empty Man probably had me wanting to protect my noggin more from demonic possession. But we'll get to that when we get to those. And another one's one of the first horror movies I can remember seeing.
Oh, really?
I think it's one of those things that in 1987 that we rented, or I was allowed to rent, and I don't know if anybody just checked what I was picking out that time, because I'm really surprised thinking back on it that my parents let me see it or let me rent it. But
there was a period of time in the 80s and maybe early 90s where the rental industry and like Suncoast. Do you remember Suncoast? It was a movie store in the malls.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay. It's kind of like the predecessor to FYE, sort of.
Yeah.
They didn't care what you bought. You just go in there and buy stuff, whatever. They didn't check IDs or anything.
This was our little local rental place back there, and usually we're, at least in 1987, I would have been accompanied by parents, but I think somehow or another I picked that one up, and it just didn't. It had Martin Sheen on the front, so they were probably thinking, oh, it's okay.
I think most rental places, as long as it's not something from behind the curtain, they didn't care.
Yeah. You had to be careful there. What was the worst one? I think the went back into the sci-fi section and rented Life Force one time.
Oh, no. Wait, how old were you?
I don't know.
No.
I mean, probably
a teen.
Mid-teens.
Yeah,
on that.
That must have been an interesting weekend.
That was a
VCR.
A lot of pausing and turning off the TV.
Looking over your shoulder.
You hear footsteps coming.
Yeah.
I was saying Life Force, it's probably an hour and 45 minutes, maybe an hour and 20 of it. The lady is just walking around just butt naked.
Butt naked. That's a trope like with anime. Like you could be watching a anime is perfectly fine, and then the moment someone walks in is just like, like a panty shot or something. but not with that movie. That's just the whole movie.
I think the one that holds the record on that was Predator 2. That one scene where they're
That
zooming
one
in.
scene,
The
yeah.
one scene where they're zooming in from a distance onto the high rise and that sex scene.
It was like weren't they like Jamaicans or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was the Hispanic gang that was kind of fighting the Jamaicans. But my pretty sure it was just my mom came around the corner as that scene was zooming in, entered the room as it got there, and it was just it was like an hour of yelling and not pleasant.
Mine was kind of because my parents just let me watch a lot of stuff, but I normally watched it with them. Like I didn't really watch stuff by myself, and so there was a lot of like one of my memories is it was like Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I think, and like one of the characters, his dream, you had the nurse, but that's not what I was thinking of. Yeah. I was thinking of the waterbed. Maybe that was 4, where he pulls down the blankets off his waterbed, and there's like the waterbed's clear, and there's a woman in his waterbed.
I can't remember if it's 3rd or 4th. I know what you're talking
about. I think it might be the 4th.
Yeah,
because I think it was the deaf kid. Yeah, that's who it was. But anyway, I remember my mom freaking out, and they always try to cover your eyes or whatever, and she was like, "No, no, no." Good times. Back on more innocent days.
Let me throw one more in. I was playing God of War with
Was it with your kid?
No, Logan was watching. Guy that was used to be my partner deputy up in Rockbridge. We'd already moved down this way. Came down, brought that, and we were sitting there playing that and kind of taking turns. Pretty much if I died, he'd just switch back and forth.
Yeah, that's a great way to do single player games.
Logan was just watching it because it was very cinematic for the time. It was just like, oh, this is awesome. This is like a movie, but we're playing it. And it goes to the thing where he sails across the thing, and you get that scene on the bed.
Yep.
And
you go into the ship, and you're like, hey, who's this? Press X.
I think the first thing is like a lady rolls over, and it's just like, yeah. I mean, it's like that. And Scott and I were both. It was just like one of those. It was like a Secret Service scene with a president. It was like, no, trying to like reach and like cover his eyes. He was just sitting there trying to dodge hands. Like, what's happening over there?
That's almost like, I think, especially as younger children, because my parents let me watch all sorts of stuff I probably shouldn't have at a real young age, that I wouldn't have really even noticed if they didn't react. Yeah. It's kind of like a baby. If a baby hurts itself, a lot of times it'll cry because of the parent's reaction.
Yeah. Parents scare the crap out of it, overreacting to stuff.
Yeah. So like with Logan, if you guys hadn't tried to cover, like, no, you might not even have noticed.
I think the problem was the follow-up scene is like, you had to do like stuff with the buttons.
Well,
trying to knock the vase.
Yeah, that just shows the vase.
Yeah.
You're rocking the bed.
We're sitting there like trying to hit those buttons, and you could hear the sounds, and we were laughing. And it was just like, wow. It's like,
this is in a video game?
I don't know that I'd ever seen a video game, honestly, before then that had any kind of nudity in it like that. And I didn't play a lot of games, so that was just him bringing that down once we had a PlayStation 2, I guess. Was that on?
Yeah.
That was on 2.
That was one of the first public mainstream games that included that kind of content.
First time I'd ever seen it. I wouldn't even thought twice about, we need to think about what content's in this. I figured it was going to be bloody
blood and gore.
But
because I remember games like Leisure Suit Larry and stuff like that had a lot of innuendo and whatnot. And I remember in I don't think it was like PC Gamer, but I remember getting like my dad would get computer zines and would talk about games and whatnot. And in the back there would be ads, and a lot of ads for like adult games.
Yeah.
So you had to seek that stuff out.
Never thought twice about the bloody content on like a video game, because my kids have helped me clean a deer.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it's like, oh, well, there's some fake blood in a computer game. Ooh. It's like, it's 2 different levels of content there. Right. But I don't think I've ever been deer hunting and had a woman roll out of the woods. That's a shame.
Well, if that happened, you'd be thinking, am I in a Greek story right now?
I'd be hunting right now.
All right, well, one of the things that really struck me with our choices when I was in Discord looking at what we were both choosing is I brought the normie films.
Yeah.
That's definitely what happened because I looked at your films and I said, "What are these? I've never even heard of these movies."
I I don't think I've got that much of a time jump on you, but I have been around just a little bit
Yeah.
longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess maybe that gets me into some maybe some 80s stuff that you might have missed. Kind of
Yeah.
under the radar 80s stuff.
Right. But a
Which
couple.
definitely The Believers is.
Yeah.
The other two are 2017 and 2012. So they really are. If you ever hear people talk about indie films, I think the first one was made for $20,000.
Mm,
So it's about
that's
as
great.
you and I, if we still worked at the railroad, could make.
Yeah. Right.
Could probably afford to make a $20,000 film.
Mm.
But I don't remember exactly how I got
Mountain
onto
Man versus
those.
Godzilla.
Mothman and Godzilla
Mothman, Godzilla.
free New York from communist threat.
There you go.
But yeah, the I kept seeing one of them, the Endless, which we'll talk about here later down our little list of stuff. It was always popping up on stuff, and I do watch a lot of like little YouTube things and stuff. They're like, these 10 movies are out on Prime. These are 10 under the radar movies that are out on Hulu or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'd seen it mentioned several times before on that, and I'm like, didn't realize that I'd already seen a movie from these guys. It wasn't one of these two, so it just one of those things where you kind of get enough information from different sides, and we're like, wow, I need to check this stuff out. And in doing so, just watching these, I know now that there are like 3 or 4 other movies that I think a couple of them are actually still tied in, intermingled in with these two stories. So I still got some homework to do to try to catch up on all their stuff. And when we get to talking about these two movies, that'll be my disclaimer for the day. I don't even know how to describe them. I may just sound like a babbling cult member and just trying to say what happens in these movies because they really are a chase. but not just like a chase for chase's sake. It's thought out and it's pretty creative, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't even honestly know what conclusion to take from them, what the director actually meant on either one of them. So we'll get to those.
Well, let's move on to the first one, and this is it's Midsommar. It's probably the most culty modern movie. When someone thinks of a movie with a cult, most modern moviegoers, their brain will go here.
I think I've said this before that I wish there was a way that you could somehow record or bottle first experiences
Yeah.
of things. And one of my favorite experience about this movie was watching this in a fairly crowded theater that I went to while I was at a show. I don't remember where it was, but it was one of those sort of bougie places that had like little small theaters and coffee shops and all that. So I don't know what city that was in. And watching the reaction of everybody watching this movie, I saw a lady start crying. I saw 2 or 3 people get up and leave. I saw a young college-aged guys in front of me that were just kind of sitting there looking like not blinking. And like at one point, one of them leaned over to the other one's like, "This movie is really graphic." I know exactly what scene that was referring to, and it was just like, I was like, "Well, you're just now getting there." I was like, "This movie has been graphic for an hour," but I hear a lot of different things. I've heard some people kind of like tear this movie down, like really not liking it. I don't know. I enjoyed it. It's kind of one of those things that really was sort of a ride, and I was talking with somebody the other day about the movie Seven, and just about how that movie ticked me off, and how I love the fact that it ticked me off that I came out of that theater just like ready to fight people, because I was like, if anybody even looks sideways at my wife, I'm tearing the city down. The fact that a filmmaker can do something to kind of elicit those kind of emotions is always impressive to me, because so many times I go see a movie and we've talked about them here, movies that I've slept through a large portion of them, where it's just so predictable and so boring. And Midsommar is definitely not that. It's I've probably seen Midsommar now easily 10 to 15 times, watching it with other people, and I have trouble kind of going back and even remembering my reactions to some of it the first time, because I'm sure it was as much bewilderment and amazement as a lot of the people that were sitting around me. But, um,
Yeah, I remember seeing it. I didn't go to the theater to see it, but I watched it because of the buzz, like
yeah,
when it came to streaming.
yeah.
I I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really feel like it was. I didn't feel like it was real graphic. Yes, there are graphic imagery in it, but
I think the
I
way to
mean,
say
we've
this,
seen worse.
I think when it goes graphic, it just goes very graphic.
True, true.
And
Well, it does have a good build up also. Like
yeah,
it does kind of drip feed you and get you to that point. It does it, with the exception of with the exception of I don't know what you call it, the meat angel, that scene. I think with the exception of that one, I think that one was kind of surprising. But up until there, I feel like it was
well, one of the, I can't remember if it was a couple or if it was a person left on the cliff scene,
oh, that was
and
early. That was early.
that was
That was
early.
really early.
I don't know what they thought they were getting into, but I'm
Yeah.
sure at that point they were like, they'd already had the suicide thing at home with the girl's family
Mm-hmm.
and some other stuff that was pretty uncomfortable, and then that happened, and that was, I said that before about you have to be cognizant of how a movie affects you and what you're willing to endure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was somebody that was like, this is way
This is
past
beyond what I want.
this crossed the line, and it's running way past the line.
Hey, I respect people who recognize that line and they
Yeah,
adhere to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I know the other one. I remember it was three people. I don't remember if it was two the first time and one the second, or the other way around. Doesn't matter. The other was during the ritual
Mm-hmm.
mating scene.
Yeah, where you had the two groups. Yeah,
That
this is definitely one of those films where like I've watched it. It's been a while since I've watched it maybe 3 times, and I've gotten some distance, and so some of the more graphic things have gotten my memory of them have kind of dissipated a little bit, and like I might recommend it to somebody, and then that person would go watch it and then come back to me and be like, well, "What's wrong with you?"
they'd be like, Randy, stay away from me.
Yeah, yeah. Because I tend to do that. I'll watch something and I'll remember like it's not that I forget things, but like the things that affect me are like the larger themes and the acting and the portrayals of the characters, and that's what I'm like reacting to. All the stuff that other people react to, it doesn't really bother me. So
It's weird, and as many times as I've seen it, and the fact that I've normalized it in my head with the scene where they're pushing the guy,
the
and all the
thrusting, there you go, the
ladies
thrusting scene,
making all the
yeah,
noises,
the
and
moaning, and
then the girl's over there crying, and she's doing all that stuff. The thing that sticks out is he runs back outside of that thing when he's trying to escape, and he has blood on him because it was a
it was a virgin. Mm-hmm.
That always strikes me as, I'm surprised. I don't know how that didn't get like an NC-17 or something, because that seems like that's
Yeah.
What you saw in the thing was bad enough. That's a next level of graphicness that I really didn't. I think that's when the two guys in front of me were like, "This is really graphic." I was like, "Yeah, you ain't just whistling Dixie."
But the cult group in there is like almost like a Norwegian or like Swedish,
Yeah.
like Wicker Man kind of cult.
Yeah, definitely like a
like cult of the old gods,
naturists.
Yeah.
People really in tune with kind of what's the thing they call like the Mother Earth, or I don't know if I ever say it right.
Gaia.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of A's and I's in there. Oh,
I only I pronounce it the way Captain Planet pronounced it. So
Gaia. Definitely somebody that's into that kind of cult of worshiping
Earth and
worshiping Earth.
Obviously casting spells and stuff like that. So somewhat like a witchcraft kind of cult.
Yeah, and definitely some of the, I don't know that they're tropes. They're really tenets of a lot of pagan religions where there's a lot of sacrifice made.
That's probably the best succinct description of this kind of cult is a pagan cult.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
There's that'd be a longer conversation that we'll probably go a lot deeper than we want to. There is a religion, and then there's a lot of cults.
Right.
Everything that's not.
Now, when I was thinking of cult films, I was trying to decide between, because I could have just been like, here are a few Ari Aster films that I like. Like Heredity, I really kind of Like I prefer Heredity as a film more.
Well, yeah, that's a better movie.
Yeah, but this is like you understand very early on that this is a
I,
cult. Like Heredity, you're not really sure what's going
I
on.
didn't really understand that Heredity was a cult. So I went and looked up the whole thing
Mammon and all that.
about whatever pagan god
Yeah,
they were reenact or not reenacting
Re,
reconstituting or
resuscitating, resurrecting.
resurrecting.
Yeah,
I don't like to use resurrecting
yeah. I
except
don't
for
except for the one resurrection.
except for the one that's an actual
Yeah.
religion and not a pagan.
Well, also, Mammon was had to take hold of someone, so it was more of a possession.
But I think Ari Aster, I don't know who did it first, honestly, as I'll get into it with these other two movies that are done by this Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead that did the other two. That I think a lot of directors have figured out to go back into mythologies
Yeah,
and find like these kind of weird demons or cult figures or whatever the right word for some of the deities that these people pray to and work them into like modern horror movies. And there's a lot of stuff that I think recent horror that is based on that kind of stuff. And it comes off as cool horror.
yeah.
But if you actually find out which one they're actually referencing and go and read into it, you're getting into like mounds of reading material and research of some ancient, you know, tradition or some ancient character in some kind of mythology and stuff. And I don't know that people were doing that pre 2000s very much, where they were really tying things back into stuff like that. Maybe I just missed a lot of it.
Well, that's part of the comment I wanted to make about the last film we're going to talk about is how there has been a shift
Yeah.
in these sorts of films of the shift away from like Satanism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right that they are using a lot of real world pagan practices and rituals and whatnot.
Or even
And
like
it's
how many things even tie into like Lovecraft, like
well,
actual characters from Lovecraft,
that's exactly where I was going to go. And I think it's interesting how we have that, but we also have like the Empty Man, where their inspiration is from like Lovecraft.
Yeah.
And Lovecraft, as far as I know, Lovecraft was just 100% fiction. He just made all of this up.
Yeah.
But it's become one. He got so deep with it and so detailed, and he fleshed his world out enough to where it seems like it's an actual mythos.
Yeah, and I guess in this world where nobody can come up with any ideas anymore, that kind of coming back and farming some of that stuff that was laid out. And oh, that remind me, Lovecraft's 50s and 60s, or was it earlier? Earlier.
Yeah, it was like in the 30s, 20s and 30s.
Excuse me, but yeah, going back and farming information out of that and kind of adapting it to these modern movies and stuff is at least a way to kind of get some content that seems new. It's not. I like the ones that actually acknowledge it and say that yeah, this is all based off of a Lovecraft thing, instead of just trying to say, oh, look at this great movie I just made.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, yeah, no, you basically just wrote a short story of, or took a short story of Lovecraft and
adapted it
and just kind of changed it a little bit and made a horror movie. But I prefer that versus let's take some 80s property and remake it and
absolutely
change everybody.
And I think really we as a culture and as a society kind of put both like the Lovecraft purely fictional gods and lore and whatnot, and then you look at actual pagan practices that occurred in the past and gods that people did actually worship and they sacrifice to, and we kind of put them on the same level.
Well,
because
technically they should be on the same level.
Right. Well,
there.
I don't think there's ever been a serious Lovecraftian cult.
Yeah.
It's always been just in the realm of fiction.
They're all imaginary monsters. So, well, most of them are. Some of them are actually based on some satanic characters, but
all right, well, that's really all I wanted to say about Midsommar. It's a great movie with a really interesting cult, and I like the modern take on what cults are and like I said, we'll go to like talk about it in Ghoulies with the occult versus cult.
Well, something about the cult in this too is it's not like something that's like a predatory type cult like you see in a lot of things, to where you're you're getting somebody into a trance or something. It's like this long sort of running thing that's just, we've been out here in nature, kind of
Hmm.
isolated from people, and this is the little religion that we formed. This
And
is very communal, very supposedly peaceful, except for the fact that
yeah,
just to have a good year next year, we gotta.
well, Midsummer is a lot more grounded than like Heredity is, because in Midsummer, everything that's done, like there's nothing that's explicitly supernatural in it,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of reflective of real world cults in that way,
Yes.
because like everything that happens in Midsummer could actually happen.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no. Um, I don't remember there being any supernatural
No,
type stuff
I mean
really in that
they
at
cast
all.
spells with hair and stuff, but that
All the hallucination stuff is all
drugs. Yeah,
just mushrooms,
yep.
and that's one thing that I've, when I talked about how I wish you could kind of bottle an experience and stuff, is I've watched it even on this big, for us, big TV that I've got behind us. This is our home theater as well. It does not come across the same way it did in the theater, to where once he and she are both tripping, that the flowers are kind of
Hmm.
breathing, and like even like little things, like little lines in the trees are kind of waving back and forth, and it almost kind of feels like the whole movie is kind of alive or breathing at times. Like even food on the plate is moving, like when they're sitting at that big table where they're always having all these feasts. That was very trippy. I can't imagine people that are actually into drugs watching that, and how maybe how horribly terrifying that would have been to be in the middle of a trip while you're watching a movie that was tripping the way that one was. But
I'm sure people have done it.
that may have been some of the reason that people left too, is they were like, man,
Is it a bit too real?
I got to get out of here, man, kind of thing. But that was a very fascinating part of the filmmaking of that, was the just incorporating that just while they were drinking those different mushroom teas and all this stuff. Where I think it's probably safe to say that Ari Aster has probably sampled a few
Probably.
illegal drugs,
Um,
or knows some people that were very good advisors on that, because that seemed very authentic.
I'd like to know if he is from the Stephen King school of creativity.
It may very well be that he just starts out with a mushroom this big and just starts eating it like an apple, and that's where all his movies comes
Hmm.
from. But
All right. So when was the first time you saw The Believers?
The Believers is a 1987 movie. Um, I'm pretty sure I caught this fairly recently after it came out on VHS. I mean, we would have never seen anything like this in the theater, because our theater trips were basically like Star Wars or a Disney movie, like
Yeah.
4 times a year. We didn't, seeing a movie was a treat when I was a kid. But came out in 1987. Um, John Schlesinger directed it. It was based off of a novel called The Religion. Um, I guess in terms of the release of it, it was moderately successful. It cost them like $13 million, made 18.7. So the amount of advertising and stuff you did back then, I don't think it had that huge advertising budget.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, I think
Schlesinger did stuff like Marathon Man, and did a bunch of like kind of movies prior to that. I think this was kind of towards the end of his career, but had a pretty big um, repertoire of like kind of quality movies coming into it. So it's one of those things where it drew in a lot of actors. The cast in Believers is kind of crazy. I mean, it's like Martin Sheen, Jimmy Smits, Robert Loggia, um, what's that guy, Harris Yulin. These are guys that are all, very few of these guys are Yulin, and I think Loggia just passed away recently. Um, Bunch of other actors that you would not recognize by name. If you scroll through this, you're like, oh yeah, I know that guy, and I know that guy.
yeah.
Helen Slater, which is not like a crush kind of thing, but she's definitely like one of those sort of Kathleen Turner kind of sultry ladies that was in movies back
You
then.
you've seen her.
You've
Definitely
seen her,
you've
and
seen her.
I was sitting there talking with my wife after I watched this, trying to, has still been kind of burning in my mind. I swear she's a voice in some kind of animation or something, maybe we watch with the kids or something. Her voice is like so familiar that it's, I can never really place what it was, and just never didn't have time to go back through all that stuff. But the you definitely, this is not one of those movies that would get made today. It's a very like sort of like film noir, sort of cop style mystery, which I love those. Just the atmosphere of those types of movies. You still get those every once in a while, but what this dealt with on sort of religions and stuff, Hollywood would just read away from this one because the whole idea kind of focuses on Santeria and voodoo and portrays probably fairly accurately the cultures that they came from, but we can't do that anymore because Santeria actually is like a basically Santeria and voodoo without getting into like a religion class are kind of the same genre of religions. They kind of melded a little bit with Catholicism, but it was really just kind of taking their imagery and applying it to
Yeah,
their worship of stuff. And
there are a lot of, especially like in Middle America and South America, there's a lot of religions that like the Spaniards came in and were like, here's Catholicism, and they're like, awesome, thank you. Well, I'm still going to do this.
yeah,
So they have Catholicism, but then they also have their old religion, and they
we're
just
gonna
like
cut a
do
chicken
both.
and like bleed it on it, but we'll
Yeah.
put Mary's face on our little statue
Yeah.
that we bleed all over. But
What's like the Mexican Day of the Dead? I mean, it's very that's very much like a, I'm assuming like Aztec kind of thing, but
the
it's mixed with Catholicism.
the main differences in these things is that Santeria was developed in Cuba when it came over from West Africa.
Okay.
The same stuff that came from West Africa that went to Haiti just developed into voodoo, and then the same stuff that ended up in Mexico was called like brujeria. I think is how you say it. And it's kind of funny. They say this over and over in the movie, talking about it being Santeria. And you watch like modern people trying to go back and review these old movies. They keep trying to say it's brujeria, even though I don't think that's ever mentioned in the movie. Because I guess they feel better about at least trying to pin this kind of religion on like Mexico
Mm.
um, instead of like black people from Africa and stuff like that. That's kind of one of the funniest things about this is as I was trying to find some information on the movie after watching it, is going through and just watching. There was a pretty bad backlash of reviews on it at the time, but you didn't have this review culture then. It was like Roger, was it Siskel and Ebert and those kind of
Yeah.
people. Now all these people are just like, this movie was, it was just all this stuff about blame, not portraying these religions fairly. You kind of laugh. It's like, what are they not portraying? It's like they're the whole thing's like where they worship. I think they call it orishas, and it's just the idea is like it's a powerful mortal spirit that relies on human worship to live. And I think Santeria even actually says that Jesus was an orisha, so that Jesus only works if you pray to him and sacrifice chickens to him.
Okay.
So, but probably kind of relevant at this point in the world because we're watching our cities just be taken over by these. But I'll get back to the movie.
It says that, yeah, it says the religion was formed as a way for enslaved West Africans to preserve their own beliefs by blending them with Roman Catholicism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
So
they
yeah,
take
so
a
it's
lot.
similar. Yeah.
I think it's like literally like using, trying to make sure I can keep this phrase the right way, hiding behind human shields.
Mm.
They were hiding their religion behind Catholic
Yeah.
shields. It was the
Well, I could see
was
the
not
Orishas. I could see that being like, oh no, they're saints.
yeah.
I could totally see that being a justification.
As I think it's kind of more like it sounds better if we call our Orishas saints,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. But it's a really cool movie. Um, it opens with like this like ritual in Africa and the Sudan, and it looks like they're healing a child. You can tell something is sacrificed, and gets into this whole thing with Martin Sheen as the main character. The whole idea is that like he, there's a couple like really just scenes that stick out in my mind in this movie. The one of them is the opening one where um I think the coffee machine is like spills over or something, and she's like spills some milk on the floor while she's just getting breakfast ready for her kid. And he's like in the shower. This is the opening moments of the movie, so it's not really spoiling anything. She steps in the water or in the milk and just gets fried in front of everybody, and he's in the shower watching the lights flicker, and of course comes out,
That,
and it was one of those things that's very disturbing, very
that
disturbing way
sounds
to start a movie.
sounds very Final Destination like.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And he's a therapist of all things. So like from there, like this happens in like Minnesota or Minneapolis or somewhere, I forget where. And then like he moves to New York of all places to try to relocate and becomes a therapist for like police officers there.
Now that kind of death seems comical, but is that just because modern housing has like breakers and
Yeah, I mean,
safeguards and stuff? Like, did
walk into your
did did
kitchen and
houses not have that?
walk into your kitchen now and look for that switch that has the little push
The little
button.
push button. Yeah, it's the breaker.
That's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
ground. That's there because of those didn't used to be there.
People are getting fried. That's
Yeah,
rough.
that's the. I've got a hand in the sink and something spilled on the counter,
Yeah.
and there's something getting shorted here, and it's if it doesn't. I don't know if the voltage back then was just enough that it wouldn't trip a main breaker,
Yeah.
and you just sit there and just get slowly cooked. But how plausible that was or not, that's how the movie opens.
Yeah.
You get in him going into New York, and there being just these child murders happening everywhere, and there's rituals like finding evidence of rituals in parks and cat heads and goat heads floating in the water and just all kinds of stuff. Um, and again, that's where these people kind of freak out on like trying to review this movie today. Is that there is this really creepy dude? Is that you got the picture
Yep.
of? That's
He's got like completely white eyes.
came over from the Sudan and through Haiti into this story that has kind of become the center of this sort of like elite cult in New York. And he's he curses people and stuff. He's tied to all the stuff. I don't know if you want me to spoil the movie or not. I guess maybe not spoil it.
Yeah, go ahead. Spoiler.
It's a 1987
Yeah,
movie,
it's been long enough.
but this Jimmy Smits from the Star Wars stuff and whatever, Sons of Anarchy. He's a cop who was investigating these kid murders and started to realize that this cult is tied to all these like powerful people in New York. And of course, because he's freaking out, he meets the Martin Sheen character, who's this therapist. And he's just basically like, I don't need therapy, dude. He's just trying to warn you about all these people. Um, he starts sort of tracking down the cult stuff and tracking down the leads. And this guy actually is getting who becomes his girlfriend. That's just his landlord. That's the Helen Slater lady. Um, almost kind of gets her into a trance at this like party, and everybody's just sitting around watching it, like, yeah, this is cool. And he kind of snaps her out of that. But in the process, they hear some conversations going on, like in the bathroom. I think she's in the bathroom and hears these like rich people talking, and understands that there is some kind of cult shenanigans going on here. the It kind of leads to one of my favorite scenes of this, not favorite, definitely the most iconic scenes of this movie, where the voodoo guy like touches her compact and curses it, and she's it's put on makeup. Later, when the curse kicks in, like she gets this like huge boil on her face,
Wait
and it starts hatching out spiders, and it's all practical effects.
a
So
minute.
they're actually like they have like the side of her head built, and they're like shuffling out like little spiders through this thing in the side of her face. It is it was horrifying. One of the most horrifying things I saw in my young life.
Okay, for a second you had me wondering if, well,
Does that happen in Serpent and the Rainbow?
because that I remember that from Serpent and the Rainbow, where he has a from his face the spiders open and crawl out. But I mean, if that doesn't happen in the Serpent and the Rainbow, I've seen this film.
Yeah, because she's walking around. And it starts off kind of like it's just a
It's like
blemish or a pimple or
a
something.
pimple. Yeah.
And like when he's leaving to go visit his kid who sort of left the city, um, it's become a boil. And then when it comes open, and these things are crawling all over. And it's off. I'm not a spider guy to begin with,
Yeah.
but that always ranks. I've said that before about a lot of movies, about how I kind of like rank movies by sort of iconic scenes, and there's a couple ones that are pretty burned into my memory from this movie, and that's definitely one of them. Um, but anyway, you're you're basically coming around to find out that at the very beginning, these friends of Martin Sheen's family were anthropologists. Is that right? Anthropologists. People that study
People,
cultures.
yeah, anthropologists.
I think that's right.
Yeah,
Seems like I'm missing a syllable there.
no, anthropologists,
We're over there studying
sociologists.
this like culture, and their kid was sick, so they made a deal with this like tribe to go ahead and sacrifice their kid, and it basically was saving this voodoo guy. It basically exchanged their kid for him, and this they kind of became the adoptive caretakers of this voodoo guy with the eyes that roll back in his head that you saw in the picture there. But and also everybody that kind of makes these sacrifices and joins this cult, it kind of guarantees them prosperity, and that's they all become wealthy wealthy business people and all that kind of stuff. Um, and it gets back into they've targeted Martin Sheen's child because of the aunt and uncle as the one that they need, and it, very much like the Midsummer, it has to be done with the summer solstice.
Okay.
So you have to make your sacrifice at the is it at the end of the solstice, I guess, to guarantee your prosperity. Very similar idea to that, and gets into him trying to rescue his child. And it's it's interesting because there's a the Cuban lady. There's like a Cuban lady that's his caretaker that's using Santeria to try to shield them and cleanse things and protect them against this sort of what's the right word sort of offshoot of Santeria that's much more sacrificial and much more predatory. And um, it's a really cool movie. The I think the at the time it came out, it was coming out at the same time as like Angel Heart and Temple of Doom, that
Mm-hmm.
both really had child abductions and sacrifices in them. And they kind of like wrote those two off because they were timepiece movies. Angel Heart was supposed to be sort of like 30s or 40s, and Indiana Jones was pre World War II, kind of pre rise of Hitler time frame. But I think this one really bothered people in Hollywood because they said it in a modern thing.
Right.
And I think when you started putting out there the idea that there were these cults behind all the rich people and successful people that sacrificed children just so they could get rich, I think it was a little bit kind of striking too close to home for for everybody in Hollywood. They can sacrifice their children in multiple ways. But
I think that you might have hit on a couple of reasons why modern cult films are set with like ancient cults,
yeah,
and like people aren't even, and why they're looking at older gods and stuff like that so they don't step on the toes of people who actually practice religions. Because if you make a movie about a religion that is specifically the antagonist's religion, like it's the bad guy's religion, this is the religion that's causing problems, and it's not like you're making a movie to revere the religion, you're gonna do things and say things and portray things in ways that people who follow the religion, or even a tangential religion, an offshoot of that religion, that it's gonna bother them.
yeah.
They're gonna be insulted by it. But like Midsommar, I don't think there's anyone on a large scale, at least, that is practicing whatever religion that was based on that would be offended by it, because they're not really practicing anymore.
That and it was white people.
Well, that too.
It's okay
Like,
it's okay to portray them as a cult
but,
people that are sacrificing people and burning somebody in that
but
bear
the
suit.
but the Scandinavians, I mean, they don't really practice those religions anymore, right? Like, there's no one worshiping like Odin anymore, right?
Well,
I don't know.
have you ever seen Heidlung, a band I played some music for you from?
Okay.
That Viking stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're completely like worshiping that.
Oh, they're okay.
I don't know that they ever sacrifice anybody, but they if you watch their things, they're recreating rituals and little talismans, and even like painting things on the ground. They have a guy that's like a shaman that's out there like just yelling into the microphone, yelling mantras and stuff. Which
do you know if that band earnestly is practicing the religion, or are they just using like the visage of the religion as it's like a set piece?
Because I mean, the little bit that I've seen of them, it really does seem like that's
okay.
They're living that whole they're living that 24 hours a day.
Well, because I've always been of the belief that the performance matters. So like, even if they didn't believe what they were doing, like the fact that they're doing rituals and stuff like that that can affect a person.
Yeah.
I've always been of that belief. But yeah, I mean, if they're earnestly doing it, I don't. It's a small group of people, and like you said, it's no one worries about offending the Scandinavians.
I think it was Roger Ebert had a quote where he was talking about how these films never talking about all of these together. They never show the positive sides of these religions,
Right?
Which was
Yeah.
like drug trips, sacrifice, idol worship, and they prey on innocent children. It's like, where am I missing a positive there? If you can't get to any of the positives without those, then maybe it's not a positive. But and even like one of the more recent guys was talking about how like the guy touching the lady's compact
mm-hmm.
was white people showing their fear and how it depicts how a Haitian man touching a white woman's possessions was poisonous, and it's like that is absolutely not at all.
That's not what was.
He was doing he was putting a voodoo curse on the lady because that was part of the plot, and that's just how broken people are. I mean, it's
that's why a lot of films these days seem shallow because they don't want to step on toes.
They need to at some point when these people come out of the woodwork to try to tear their movie down, just tell them to just shut up and go away, because nobody watches this movie and thinks that, or nobody that's not some sort of college liberal type person who just looks for that everywhere that they go, and everything that happens, even sees that scene and thinks, "Well, that's a depiction of the black man." Blah blah blah. It's like, no, it's not.
We've discussed this sort of thing before. But you can take pretty much any media, and if you want to inject a certain perspective into it, you can wedge it in there somehow.
Yeah. It's Midsommar's fine. You can make Sinners where the whole thing is just, we're going to celebrate killing white people. Yay, that was great. You made something like this, you'd have that. The thing that always pops into my mind is like I've seen it like those montages, and it's like 40 little things on a screen of all like the women like screaming in the car at the same time at their phones.
Yeah.
That's literally the response this kind of movie would get, which again kind of makes me like it a little bit more.
I don't know if this is accurate, but from what you've told me, I kind of get like if the Serpent and the Rainbow and Eyes Wide Shut had a baby. Like, to me, it's like this is a good halfway in between those two films.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting too. Like, the lady with the spider in the face like lives, and they leave the city, get away from all this. They kill the Paulo, the guy that's kind of the little voodoo child that's making all these people rich, and the thing gets exposed and all that.
Yep.
But they move to the country, and she's pregnant with this kid. Their kid's still there. Just look like they're living a happy life. His dog is out like barking in his barn. He goes to the barn, opens up the barn, and like she's basically taken on Santeria. She's sacrificed a bunch of animals to protect their house, and it's like probably something to be said there about how infectious that kind of idea is. That if you think that's really what got you out of something like that, you lend a lot of credence to it, and it's easy for people that are in hard times to turn to things like that, because if they get that instant quick result, then you're like, wait, that little idol is why like people carry crystals around. It's like, something good happened to me today, it's because I had a crystal in my pocket.
So therefore,
no, it's not. It's like you got a rock in your pocket that's gonna mess up your clothes if you don't take it out when you do your laundry. It's not giving you any powers.
I think you see that even in like Catholicism. You pray to, I don't know the saint name, like the patron saint of travel. You pray to the patron saint of travel to keep watch over you in your travel, and hey, the travel went well, therefore.
I could see how like it was easy for them to tie Catholicism to these kind of pagan tribal religions because they had those kind of things in place where you had a spirit that you prayed to for this and for that. And we always had, I saw a lot of it when I was in police work, the little patron saint of law enforcement, the little medals and stuff that you carried. And I wore a cross. I was like, if anybody's got my back, it's him. And if not, I got my own.
We all have our talismans. Yeah, I would be interested in watching this movie again, if only to see if it knocks memories in me, because I wasn't able to find the exact scene with Serpent and the Rainbow, but like I said, I remember a scene where spiders coming up his face. But it's possible this was on at some point.
There's a lady in Serpent and Rainbow that looks a lot like Helen Slater. I don't remember what the actress is.
Mm-hmm.
That I know, like they're at a dinner table and like he's doing a curse thing to them because Bill Pullman's the main guy,
Right?
The Independence Day president.
Mm-hmm.
And
Such
Serpent
a
and the
fantastic casting for that.
Rainbow. And like somebody like starts eating like their wine glass,
Mm-hmm.
like hallucinating and all this kind of stuff. They still messing with him. I don't remember if the spider thing happens there or not.
All just the cursory search for that scene. All I was seeing is when he gets buried, there's a spider that crawls on his face.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So you may have seen some of the blunders.
Yeah, I may have seen that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I was young, my parents would watch stuff and I'd watch it too. I'd probably be running around, playing and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely would like to. I need to watch both of those movies because if the scene that's in my head is right, I might have actually seen at least parts of this.
Like I said, there's a lot of these guys were probably more my dad's era actors that were kind of older guys in this movie. People that I recognize probably were in westerns and different like sort of drama movies that he probably grew up watching. It's a great cast.
Well, even when you were talking about like the heads of the chickens and stuff, like I remember scenes like that, but that's probably in a lot of different media.
Yeah.
Especially if it involves voodoo.
I think the first time you see it is like they're in Central Park and there's a bunch of people gathered around and there's a lady that's just freaking out because there's a beheaded cat and there's a bowl with a cat head in it over there. And I don't know if it was supposed to be a cat that she fed or something, but she was like freaking out and everybody's kind of gathering around and you see members of that cult there that were watching it. So they kind of give you that little early hint that
these people ate it,
that it's kind of interwoven in between all the people in power in the city.
That kind of can go right into Cabin in the Woods. The reason I chose this is, well, any chance to talk about anything that can be tangentially related to Evil Dead in any way, shape, or form, I'm there. Yep. I love the trope of a cabin in the woods and then evil things happen. This one actually had a really. I'm assuming you've seen this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is again. I got the normie films.
Another really cool first watch though. It's definitely different watching it a second time than when the first time when you're getting the reveals and you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This is this is one of those films where if you haven't seen it, I would recommend not listening to this. You can fast forward. We've got the timestamps or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a movie that has reveals that you don't want to know about beforehand.
Yeah.
There's so full spoilers moving ahead. The one scene where is it that Chris Hemsworth character that tries to jump the gulch?
I was getting ready to say that was the first
and then
time
hits the wall. Boom.
It's like, you got
that's great.
Got this guy. He's gonna be your main little hunky character for the movie. Blah blah blah. And was it maybe 30 minutes in? He's just like, bam.
Yep, he's gone.
It's like he's gone. It's like wow.
He was the hero. Hero's gone. I think it's a great cast, and it's very much aping off of horror films and whatnot. I love the scene when they go down into the basement and they have all the which cursed item are they going to choose? And the film opens up. The opening scene is like in an office building or a bunker or something like that. It's like a government facility.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons I chose this. One of the things I like about it is it kind of touches on the idea of like the Illuminati. Like there's a shady government organization that's manipulating things and people and stuff like that.
I think we mentioned it very briefly talking about vampires. I always say that he's like one of my favorite sort of non-famous actors, even though I'm sure he's got billions. Richard Jenkins, he's one of those two guys that's in that opening scene. He's one of the main two guys that managed the little thing. He's
oh yeah.
He's
definitely one of those. I know that actor. I don't know his name.
He's the guy that's grown old, caring for the vampire and Let Me In the remake with Chloe Moretz. And gosh, of great movies that he's in. He's in Bone Tomahawk, so good. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
Oh my goodness. It's a Western movie. He's in that. He's great in that.
See, I avoid Westerns, even though I enjoy them.
That's a horror
I say movie. I don't enjoy them.
That's a Western horror movie.
Nice.
He's actually in Burn After Reading, one of the Coen
I've seen that.
Brothers things. With he's in a lot of stuff. If
Brad
you
Pitt,
kind of search around, you'll see him in everything. But probably one of his most prominent recent roles, Cabin in the Woods, because he's the
which was in 2011.
recent enough.
Recent old men.
Well, has there been anything good made after that? Very little.
Not very little, yes. But I like the idea, and you see this a lot in comic books with the government organization that is in league with some sort of actual ancient entity.
Yeah.
And that was definitely, I think
that's a very late reveal.
Oh yeah, well, that's like the very end.
The whole thing that was like they're creating this whole scenario, basically creating a horror movie that they're watching from, almost like the Truman Show, introducing all these things, and it's like, wow,
why are they doing this?
Why are they doing this? And then you get into seeing the underbelly of the thing where they have all these different beasts contained, and they can turn any of them loose. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. How'd they get all them? Yeah. And then to the end, it's because it's keeping some ancient underworldly thing from.
Yeah, it's like it's
a sacrifice to it.
It's a worldwide organization that every year they sacrifice a group of innocent people to like the old gods, and it keeps the old gods at bay. Yeah. Fantastic reveal. And
I love when all the monsters get turned loose.
Yeah.
At the end, and the was it like somebody was betting for the mermaid?
The mermaid. Yeah, I think it was. I don't know the actor's name. The one that was also in. Here we go. Bradley Whitford.
Yeah,
him. I think he was the one that was wanting the mermaid.
He was in Godzilla 2014.
Okay.
He was kind of like the little humor they inserted into that, and actually was kind of funny in that. But yeah, once all those things are loose, and there's just like werewolves and like big flying bat creatures just blowing guards up in the background, and every time you turn around, there's like a dude with like saw blades in his head coming at you. It's like, that was just such a great movie.
And this is definitely based off of fictional properties. They're taking the knees out from under all the horror films like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, those kind of films, slasher films, and tying it into a government organization that is actually a cult. So like none of that's real. This is based on, there's no actual history that this is based on in any way, shape, or form. I don't even know what the old gods' names are. I don't even think those aren't even based on anything. Not even like Lovecraft.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't ever looked anything back up on that to see if some of these other things do tie in, and they'll mention like some kind of weird Lovecraft monster, and you're like, gosh, I've never even heard of that thing. And then you go click on a Lovecraft wiki page, and then there's like 8 pages of info about this guy that controls time and space that was the grandfather of the Cthulhu and all these things. I was like, gosh almighty, who thought all this stuff up?
I mean, they're called, in the Cabin of the Woods, they're called the Ancient Ones.
Yeah, just
a race of ancient deities that once ruled the earth before humanity. So if you could point it to anything, the Titans.
Yeah,
maybe that's the thing you could say it was based off of.
It's just a giant hand that comes up towards the end, so it is very Titanish.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that's one of I definitely put that in top 50. Yeah, I always want to say top 10. Not top 50. It's a great film.
If you have friends that like to watch horror and they haven't seen it, it's a great group watch.
Yeah, it really is.
I know my son had a bunch of his sort of older high school friends over, because I showed it to the kids after we decided they were old enough to watch it, and they were just like, oh, this is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had some friends over to watch. I think I went upstairs to let them be the dudes hanging out in the basement by themselves, and you could just hear them all just like going nuts through the whole movie. They were all laughing, and it was it's a good group activity.
Yeah.
To watch that movie.
Well, this last thing is I just want to reemphasize that this is the part of the cult that really speaks to me about with movies and media. Is I really like the idea of governments being associated, because like the Believers and like Eyes Wide Shut, it's the cults and they're the elite, but the elite aren't always the government. Yeah. I like the idea of the government itself, because you think government as being a completely secular entity, and it's just a good juxtaposition of, well, these people are doing a job, they're getting a salary, they go home at the end of the day, but they're serving like this ancient deity, and that's great.
That's what I thought was funny about that, because I think when that came out, I was working at the railroads. So it was the first time I'd ever been confined into a little office space for a job.
Yeah.
And it literally was like that, where the people were trying to do pools for fantasy football and for this and for that, and they were just doing the same thing, but it was for which monster is it going to be this year, and that was a clever take on that too.
It really was. Who wrote it?
I
don't even know. Okay, Joss Whedon. Makes sense.
Okay. Firefly dude, right?
Yeah, he did that, and then I guess he did the Avengers, and then he got in trouble.
Yeah.
because he's a sex pest.
He got pulled into the cult and
yeah,
did not resist it.
No, definitely not. I should have known it was Joss Whedon just by the themes and the writing.
Yeah.
All right, another movie I haven't seen is Resolution.
Well, I'm gonna say this: it's the Resolution and the Endless.
The Endless. We're doing both at once.
I don't know how to talk about one without talking about the other.
And you told me why.
Yeah. These were made. Resolution was a 2012 film. These two guys have made a bunch of movies together and actually act in almost all of them.
That's a good way to keep costs down.
They are the main characters in the Endless. They are side characters in Resolution, but Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, or I think it's Moorhead. I may have typed it wrong. I typed Moohead. I think it's Moorhead.
Let's see. Moorhead. Moor head.
Need to add an R there. Yeah. But
Moohead.
It'd be funnier if he was Moohead.
So it was written by Justin Benson.
Yeah. Like I said, the first one, Resolution, only cost them $20,000. I don't think it had any big like theater releases or anything, so there really wasn't a way to kind of track if they made how much money they made. But I'm sure just selling it to a streaming service, they probably got their money back. But this movie, a movie called Spring, which I had seen long before these.
All right, so before you go even further into it, Spring and The Endless are both like on my to watch list, like on my Fandango account.
Yeah,
I put them on like my my wish list. There you go.
Gotcha.
And it's just if it ever comes up for sale for cheap, I'll get them. So I'm definitely interested in seeing these.
Spring is like it's almost akin to like oh my goodness, what's the movie where the girl like it changes really quickly, the blonde girl, and becomes like the alien, and it's like they're trying to hunt her down.
Species. I know what you're talking about. Species. No, not Species. That's
Species is what I'm thinking.
It's like Species, isn't it?
Spring reminds me a lot of Species, that there's this girl that's kind of becoming this monstrous beast thing, okay. But it's kind of interwoven into sort of like a romantic story, and this guy's like meeting her, and she's trying to hide it from him and all this stuff. But Spring, The Endless, and a third movie, Synchro.
See, I was thinking Splice.
Yeah.
Similar.
What's the other movie? Synchronic. It's got the Captain America.
Is it by the same guys?
No. Synchronic is, yes. I'm trying to get back to where that is.
Yeah.
Synchronic.
That has Anthony Mackie in it.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie. Those three, the Spring, The Endless, and Synchronic, are all supposed to be interwoven.
Okay.
And I don't remember enough of Spring other than I think it has one of these same characters in it. How it ties into this. Resolution, a lot of critics compare it to Cabin in the Woods, which is kind of interesting that you picked that and I picked this, because there's no collusion on that at all.
No.
And they say that this is like an independent, slower paced version of Cabin in the Woods. And I think the whole idea is that you're watching a horror story that's being like conducted, like sort of like the audience. It's like a film inside a film. And it's kind of the idea with Cabin in the Woods, that you have this whole story of all these characters, but it's just a manipulated story by another group that's just sitting there watching it and actually changing it and stuff like that. Trying to tell you what the plot of Resolution is would be like me just rambling for the next hour and probably never getting to a point. The basic idea is that there's these guys, Michael and Chris, that they're old friends, best friends growing up. Chris is a druggie. Michael goes out after getting this video of him being like erratic, like worried he's going to commit suicide, to go find him and see if he can talk him into going to rehab. Goes and finds him. He won't go to rehab, so he tases him and locks him, handcuffs him to a bar in like his cabin. And that's the whole movie. It all takes place in this little cabin. And says he's going to stay for a week. You know, his wife is pregnant, but his friend is important enough to him that he needs to go. This is last chance to save this guy probably before he kills himself. Is the kind of the idea of it. And then I don't even know how to describe what happens after that. I've watched it once. It's one of those things you almost need to watch these movies together again after sort of seeing everything that happens. It's like as they're at the cabin, they'll find like a video, and it'll be a video of something that's getting ready to happen. But then like the next thing that they'll get, they'll there's like a book that's dropped off for them on the steps of like kid stories. It's got a thing for the local library. The friend Michael comes and takes it back to the library. When he gets back to the library, there's another video there. When he brings the video back and plays it, they had an argument right before they watched the video. The videos of them having the argument.
Nice.
And you're sitting there watching all this stuff like, what in the world? What in the hell is happening? And you get to see there's these druggies there. It's supposed to be sort of on like a reservation, and there's this sort of Indian security guy that's basically says that they lets him know this guy Chris is squatting on the land, but he pays him. It's like, just let me stay here with him for a week and then we'll leave. And his idea is just that he's going to lock him up and make him go cold turkey instead of getting him into rehab. But then like there's a projector in the cabin. One of the times it like turns on by itself and it plays like their funeral.
Oh,
like they've been killed. And then like they'll get like a little thing on their laptop. It'll be an email that comes on their laptop, and it's like it's the guys that are the druggies coming there and beating them up and killing them. And just all this sort of chasing around in a circle thing it's very interesting to watch. It's very confusing, and I have no idea what to take from it. It's like you start to maybe think that there's something bigger that's doing all of this. They get through all this stuff. The Indian guy comes back. You want me to spoil this for you?
No, let's not.
All right.
What I'm thinking now is looking at these 4 films, we might want to actually extract this at some point and make it a main topic. Do your best.
The thing that's okay to say is there's either an entity that is controlling all of this that might very well be Lovecraftian.
Okay.
Or the entity is almost like Cabin in the Woods, is the audience.
Okay.
Or maybe even the filmmaker watching his own film, trying to decide what to do with it. If that makes sense.
You have to say at least that much to answer the question, how is this cult? That's how.
This is going to tie into the Endless. I'm going to go and get one of the times they go down. He's walking around there. It's like this big sort of, I want to say Colorado, maybe Nevada, Utah area, open kind of wilderness area. Kind of looks, it's probably supposed to be Utah because I'm sure that's where everybody in Hollywood thinks all the cult people live.
Of course.
But one of the times he goes down to the river, and this is where these 2 guys, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, are in it. They're all in white shirts and khakis. They're at the river. They say they're part of a UFO cult. And they talk to them, have this interaction with them, and then like you kind of never come back to them again.
Okay.
But that's a scene from The Endless.
Gotcha.
That's a scene from the movie.
I love that. That's great.
Like,
it's wonderful.
That's in the 2017 movies. The fact they had this all worked out in 2012 is kind of next level. But that's kind of enough of that story to kind of get into The Endless. The Endless is these 2 guys, Justin and Aaron. They actually title themselves as the main characters, Justin and Aaron in the movie.
Okay.
That are brothers. That one of them thinks he escaped a UFO death cult, and the other one thinks that he was pulled away from a UFO.
Yeah, that's definitely a different take on the cult. Is cult who is worshiping UFOs or aliens of some sort, thinking what that was it called, a Hail Bop?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's kind of this kind of the whole point of that story, I think, is that it's this relationship between these two brothers, where one is like really controlling and the other one is really trusting. And but since they leave the cult, they they can't ever kind of find satisfaction. They can't keep a job. They're just kind of doing like little crap contract work that they can pick up. So I mean, they're just and they get this, like everything else. It kind of ties back into the resolution. They get a videotape in the mail of the basically the people that they were in this cult with saying goodbye, and they're like, now the brother's like, well, I told you they're all thinking they're going to sin. They're all going to kill themselves and drink the Kool-Aid or whatever. And but the other friend, the other brother wants to go back and see them. Wonders if it's a plea for somebody to come help them or whatever. And then as you go back, as they are driving through this place, they they come to this little like sort of totem right outside of where the camp is. That is, you'll find out later, where their mother was in a car crash and was killed, and they were pulled out of a burning vehicle while they were younger kids by this cult. And you're going to get into this whole sort of time distortion
See,
thing.
just from the poster of the Endless, that's kind of what I assumed the Endless was. It had something to do with time travel or reality warping or whatever.
They drive there to this. There's the picture they left for their mom when she died that they drew with crayon, sitting there just like it's brand new. And you see the little thing with some birds trying to fly, and like they can't. It's like there's a wall in the sky that they can't fly past, so they're like flying up to it and turning away. So it's kind of giving you that idea. Um, I don't know how much of this to tell you about if we want to try to watch it. Um, the all of the characters, they go back and meet all these people that are part of the cult that they grew up with, and of course none of them have aged. So they're all kind of like, well, that's weird.
Yeah,
It's been
that's
10
creepy.
it's been 10 years, nobody's aged. And then as you kind of start to feel your way through the movie, you kind of start to see that they're not even people from the same era. Like there's a guy that almost is like a, not quite like a dirty old prospector, but kind of, that may have been part of that group for a very, very long time. And there's other people that I think sort of added in. There's actually a girl there that in Resolution is just this crazy lady who one night is like staring into their cabin. She's one of the main characters in this movie. So
Okay.
the interweaving between these things is just kind of crazy. Like in Resolution, she's standing outside the window, like looking in. They're like, wow, who is that? And he's like, that's just this crazy lady that keeps coming by and looking in my window. That's all that's ever said about her. She's in this movie one of the main probably four characters, and she talks about how I used to be obsessed with this crazy guy that lived up in a house that likes guns, and that's the drug guy in Resolution. Is that when his friend Michael comes to come see him, at first he's outside, and he does it a lot. He goes down to a little pond and shoots at the pond, and he shoots at the sky all the time, and he's like keeps on saying like, you dang birds, and there's no birds anywhere. Like he shoots into the pond and he's like, stupid birds, and you're like, what is he doing? It's just, there's so many little misdirection things in this. And um I don't think it's a huge spoiler to say
That's fine.
that the whole idea of it is that there are all these little time bubbles in this area because of this entity.
Okay.
Some of them are, one of them is the camp, one of them is the cabin from Resolution, one of them is like a Civil War tent. And I think I told you about that, and something, I don't know if we were talking on a show or just talking, hanging out one time. There's a guy in a 3 second loop there that wakes up in a chair, tries to run across the tent, and it resets.
Yeah.
And he's back in the chair, and like there's a little clock on the wall, and all it does is like it just moves 3 seconds, and then the guy just gets back in the chair. He's looking at you like, like he wants to say, somebody help me, and it's like shoop. And there's the camp from Resolution is basically a week long bubble. So they're there for a week and then it resets. And there's a trailer that they encounter in Resolution. They're supposed to be these college kids, like this French research college group that came out there to research UFOs. It's in its own bubble, and they when they encounter it, when the reset or the loop resets, something happens to the trailer, I guess, where it goes away. But when it resets, it reappears. And in the endless, he's walking and it just appears on the hill above him. So he goes to investigate it and actually finds I think like a projector, like what was in the cabin in the first movie, and tries to play it, and something like just launches the projector out. You see it just flying in. That's the only time you actually see the bubbles. As you're looking back over across this valley, as this projector's just thrown like Superman through it, and you see these little like color variations enough where you can see these little bubbles everywhere. And
Just from your description, I'm getting pretty strong like Dark City vibes.
I've still never seen Dark City.
Okay.
the I've got
Yeah.
got a copy of that, and I don't know why I look at it and I talk myself into watching something else. I've still yet to watch that.
What we need to do, we have on our Discord, we have a list of the films that we want to talk about as main topics.
Yeah.
We just need to like have a list of just films that we're like, well, if you haven't seen these, you want something to watch these.
We need to get our list of things we want to watch and just be like 1 month. It's like we're watching all of these this month.
I don't know if there'd be enough time.
Yeah. The idea and this overarching idea in this movie too is that like if you're in one of these bubbles when it resets, then you get stuck in it. So they encounter like a dude that.
So the bubbles can change.
And it's weird. Like if you're in it, you can, even though you get reset in it, you can remember everything that happened before. It's not like it.
That's kind of what I was
erases
assuming
your
with
memories.
the guy with the 3 seconds asking for help. Like he remembers every 3 seconds.
Yeah,
that's
That'd be
almost horrible. That sounds like hell.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like that would be a corner of hell.
Yeah.
That somebody would just put you in. It's like I'd rather put me on the little thing where you've got a rotisserie and you're just pulling my guts out with a thing. Put me on that instead of on the. I sit in a chair and reset every 3 seconds. That's nightmarish. Yeah. And there again, when you get into this and a movie like this, you're gonna have people trying to interpret it and see what it says.
I've often wondered if like films like this, if the directors get to a point to where the writers get to a point where they're just doing stuff. Like they're not really trying to make sense of things. They're just doing things that are interesting visually or narratively.
There's a lot of suggestions that the entity might be Yog Sothoth.
Okay, a Lovecraftian thing.
Lovecraftian.
Okay.
The guy, he's the embodiment of time and space. He's an outer god. He manipulates time and space. And it's either that or the entity is just the audience again. Watching this thing happen. And I don't think the way the endless ends, I don't think it's the audience. Because there's something kind of comes into play at the end. You see it a couple times. There's a scene where they like go down. They get a. There's a note. No, it's not a note. It's a picture that just like you'll see like something like shift, almost like the Matrix. When they say you see the black cat again. That means they change something.
Yeah.
You get little moments like that where it seems like somebody changes something. And one of the times there's a picture that just falls out of the sky right after that happens and lands on this, and it's a picture of a buoy in a lake. They go to the lake, see this buoy dive down, and they find a box that has videotape in it. But like when they're painting out with the lake, you're looking over top of it, and it seems like he comes back up kind of gasping. He says something was down there. When you're painting out of the lake, it looks like there was something massive that he just was right there, and he just didn't see or he couldn't comprehend because it was too big. So
when you said the Yog Sothoth, I googled Yog Sothoth to see what it looked like. Just a massive eyes, and it reminded me of a deity from the Elder Scrolls named Hermaeus Mora. And I googled that, and people are making that connection.
That almost looks
this
like
one?
No, this one.
This one, yeah.
That almost looks like what's in the lake.
Oh, okay,
like when you pan away from the lake, that's almost the image of what.
It's like a big eye with a bunch of little eyes.
Well, you just see the shadow of it, but it's almost that shape or something.
Yeah. Hermaeus Mora is always shown as a massive tentacles and eyes. That's what it is.
I don't want to get into the other part because it does kind of. I don't want to spoil that part. It'd be funner to watch. It's very possible. When did Groundhog Day come out? You looked that up.
Oh, that was in the 90s, man. Yeah.
If this isn't Yog Sothoth, whatever it is,
93.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's also very possible that it was trying to do some sort of take on that.
Groundhog Day.
But
Well, that's definitely there's a there's a VR Groundhog Day that I haven't played. But I haven't played it. So they might have expanded the mythos of Groundhog Day, but as far as I'm aware, they didn't try to attribute it to anything. It was just like a freak of nature that it happened for Bill, well, not Bill Pullman. What's his character's name? Phil. Bill Pullman.
I'm trying to look real quick on the cast on Spring to see if there's anybody that was actual.
Well, while you're looking at that, I looked up.
Is that Mike? Is that the same character?
Yeah, I looked up like how his Justin Benson's interconnected universe.
Yes.
And yeah, the Resolution and Endless are the most directly connected. But then you have Spring, who is a character that has a minor character in the Endless, mentions a character from Spring, it says.
Is that like Shitty Mike?
It doesn't, the AI.
That's actually how they refer to this guy. And he's the guy
the AI summary didn't give me the name.
Pardon my French, but that's just how they refer to the.
And then Synchronic connects through a drug that is made from a red flower that's seen in the Endless.
Yeah, and then and in Resolution, because the French dude in the cabin or in the trailer in both of them is smoking like a red flower thing, and the cult in the Endless have it too.
That red flower seems to really be the linking, the connection between all these properties, because it says that Something in the Dirt from 2022 features a red flower.
Yeah,
that's another one of them. And the segment in VHS Viral, the segment called Bone Storm, also includes a red flower.
This guy Vinnie Curran, that's in Spring. He's in Spring as a different character. So it's a lot of these are the same characters showing up. There's Smiling Dave. I think the other one's Poopy Mike.
Now, this is from 2023, so things may have changed, but apparently they were developing a TV series based on the Endless.
Okay.
So that might be something to look forward to.
2012 to 2017 on those two that were very directly connected. And I'm trying to see what the years. 2014 on Spring, wasn't it?
Oh, when was Spring?
Yeah. 2014.
2014, yeah.
The Synchronic was 2019, so they're not fast moving between things, but if they're doing it all in house themselves, it makes sense.
Did you know they got wrapped up in Marvel?
No.
Yeah, they did. It looks like season 2 of Loki, which Loki is like one of the last properties I kind of got into with Marvel. That was toward the end of me watching all the Marvel properties. I don't really watch all of them now. I just kind of watch the ones that specifically interest me.
I watched a lot of it because I think my son was watching it and my wife watched it, I think, with him.
Yeah, I thought Loki was fun. They also apparently did a couple episodes of Moon Knight. So hopefully that gives them enough.
I think it gives them the money to make
cachet and money to make whatever they want. So it'd be awesome if they have a TV series coming out.
It almost seems like things like that seem tedious. I've kind of heard people say that, like, if you take the good, the bad, the ugly, fistful of dollars for a few dollars more, that those aren't direct sequels, but it's all kind of a general broader vision that Sergio Leone that had when he made those movies, that you should sit down sometime and watch them in order and just take them in. And it kind of seems like you need to do this for these movies as well. I guess people that say that must have a lot more free time than I do. I don't have time to sit down and watch that many movies uninterrupted. Especially if this is talking about 4. It'd be at least 4, maybe 5 movies. Maybe over the course of a weekend or something. You could. There's another one that they've done here recently. I saw this trailer. Things Will Be Different.
Okay.
Where it's like I think it's another time thing. Like it's like a man and a woman.
It makes sense. Things will be different this time. Yeah.
They commit a robbery or something, and they somehow or other they can jump. They go back out to, like, they're in this isolated place, but they can go back in and maybe try the robbery again or something.
Yeah, there's Groundhog Day definitely created a genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. It's
Time loop genre, I guess you could call it.
I don't know how to describe and go through. I could go through and list every event that happens in these, and you'd just be like,
What?
"What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing these. Like I said, just from the, uh, I think all of us do a judging a movie by its poster kind of thing.
Yeah,
And there was a period of time where, like Melancholia, like I went through the Voodoo, or when it was Voodoo, I looked and I was selecting things just because I thought the poster looked interesting, and anything that seemed like ethereal, I was like, yep, let me watch it. Let me watch it. I think it was probably right after I saw the Color from Space.
yeah, Color Out of
Yeah,
Space.
the Color Out of Space.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I watched Melancholia too, and that was that's
it's
one of
good. It's good.
that's one of those things that's like it doesn't really fall into a movie that you don't want to watch again because it was like disturbing,
Mhm.
and I think it was his intent. It made all the characters in that movie made me hate them so much
Oh yeah,
that I just wanted the it was like another, was it a moon or a planet that was going to hit
it's another Earth, wasn't it?
another Earth, or a moon or something was going to hit the Earth and destroy it. It's like, will you just hurry up and take these people out? It's like these people are miserable. Pretty decent filmmaking,
Oh
and
no, it was just a rogue planet.
yeah, and if that was the point of them, was to, I don't know, make you suffer through
Hmm.
how miserable these people are, is like, I'm not sure that's a great motive for a movie, but it was
No,
well
I mean,
done.
I really liked it because I felt it kind of puts you in your own, looked at your own perspective and be like, well, how would you react in this situation where there's this impending doom? You're
Yeah,
gonna die.
yeah,
Yeah, it's wild.
yeah,
It's a cool like thought experiment.
yes.
Let's turn from cerebral intelligent films to probably one of my favorite genres, gremlin films, small g. I loved Ghoulies as a child. Absolutely loved Ghoulies.
I've seen, I don't know if I've ever seen it all the way through. I know I've seen it. I think it's like one of those things when we were traveling with my parents when I was younger. It would be on like an HBO or something,
Mhm.
and you'd flip to it, and it'd be like while they're in the bathroom, you're sitting there watching it, and they come out, and you had to like flip away. I don't know that I've ever actually seen that from start to finish.
I don't know if I'd. I mean, it's one of those things I wouldn't recommend because it's not good. I mean,
It's a puppet sticking out of a toilet.
yeah, yeah. And as a kid, I mean, I was all about critters, ghoulies. There was this one called Munchies, where it was a bunch of little like imps running around in a mall.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
loved these things, and it was like everybody else was watching like Muppets, and I was like, give me tiny little monsters that kill people.
I
That's what I wanted.
loved Gremlins as a kid.
Yeah,
The whole oh my goodness, what was his name? Wasn't Gizmo
yeah. The
the good one?
the good one.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, Gizmo.
Yeah,
Gizmo because his dad made Gizmos.
that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, the
That's one part that they didn't really ape off of that of on all these movies that just pretty much made took Gremlins little G and made a movie with it. They didn't have like the good Gremlin. The Gremlins,
yeah,
the film franchise, is the only one that really had the good one. That's interesting.
there was an amusement park while we were traveling, probably like a Six Flags in Texas, where I think we won. There was a big. You ever see those like puppet monkeys? They had like little
Yes, yeah,
hands that
yeah. You attach to it, and then
you could put his hands on his
yeah,
legs, so it looks like it's holding on to you.
yeah.
And part of the deal with winning it is you could put a name on the shirt,
Okay,
and I put. We must have just have seen that before that happened. I don't know what age I would have been. I named the monkey Gizmo,
there you
and we took it all the way across from Texas. We were driving all the way to the coast and then back through the north part of the country, like a 8,000 mile trip that we were on for a couple months. That I've spent 2/3 of with a little squeaky monkey in the back of the car, like going up over the seat over my mom and dad, like squeak, squeak, squeak. And they're like, "If you don't get that monkey out of my face, I'm gonna."
Oh, I bet you loved that.
At Devil's Tower, Gizmo got fleas.
Oh no, how? How
There's
did
a
Gizmo get
there's a
fleas?
prairie dog. There's a huge prairie dog, like
Yeah,
whatever you call it, colony there.
yeah.
It actually fleas from the prairie dogs got onto it. We were in the car leaving Devil's Tower, and it's like, "Your mom,
Why am I
dad, I'm
itching?
itchy," and my brother was like, "I'm itchy too," and they're like, my dad was like, bleep. He's like, you got fleas on your monkey.
Gizmo went out the window.
We saved Gizmo. Gizmo was actually still
Oh,
upstairs in a
really?
closet, but
That's great.
I remember having to go into a restroom and like our rest area, and we all had to disrobe and get the fleas off of us.
That's a testament to how much your father cared for you, that he didn't just throw it away.
Oh no, he was ready to kill that monkey long before that. I think he knows that would have been a break in the father son relationship if he'd killed that monkey. But back to Ghoulies.
Back to Ghoulies. But one of the things that struck me when I chose this was that it's more it's all this guy, and it's been years since I've actually watched it, but this guy summons the Ghoulies to do his bidding. That's just there you go. That's the premise of the film, and he summons them from Satan. It's an occultic movie, not a cult movie.
Much more traditional, just satanic.
Yeah, then in the 80s and early 90s, they had the whole satanic panic. And I can't really think of a lot of films nowadays that like are directly just like, oh, it's the devil. You had like the Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves.
That was mentioned in all these people that were and looking up their believers, trying to find like I always like to pull up a plot sort of synopsis when I'm doing it to make sure I'm not skipping a huge section when I'm talking about it. Finding a plot synopsis was like, this is what happened in the Believers, like two little paragraphs, and then it was all this like reaction to it. And it was even mentioning that whole reaction to the, what'd you call it, the Satanic Panic?
Yeah, Satanic Panic, yeah.
That they thought filmmakers had switched to some of this tribal pagan cult stuff.
To get away from the Satanic
Panic? Get away from that because they're trying something new, and it actually was worse because then it brought in all the racial idolaters that were like, yeah, you can't do this and you can't say that.
With the Satanic Panic, it's almost like in the 80s. It was almost like that was like our modern version of his Hitler. You know, it's like, well, it's okay to just everybody hates Satan, so you can make Satan the bad guy. So now anytime you don't like somebody, you just say Hitler, and like everybody agrees Hitler sucks. He's one of the worst people that ever existed. And with the Satanic Panic, it was like, well, if you want to have a bad guy that everybody's going to agree this is a bad guy, Satan. But you're right, when they were started to switch to more real world isn't even the right word, more culturally specific, there you go, more culturally specific cults or religions, you get people insulted because they're like, well, I'm not a bad guy and that's my religion. And real world Satanists don't realize, I'd say they don't realize they're actually worshiping Satan. They don't think they're worshiping Satan. So they're like, hey, it's fine if in a movie they're going to make fun of or make the bad guy someone who's worshiping Satan, because we don't do that.
Yeah. Until they take it to like was it Iowa that they put up some kind
Baphomet.
of they put some kind of satanic thing up because they were like, well, if you're going to put up a Christmas tree, we get to put this up. It's like, Baphomet. It's like, shut up. Go outside and play.
But one of the things, and this I didn't even realize, again, I was a kid in the 80s, so I didn't realize that this was as like the Satanic Panic went this far until I started seeing videos like on YouTube talking about it. Like it was even the point to where people were talking about like D&D. We all know people didn't like D&D because it was Satanism, right? Yeah. But I saw this one video where a guy was claiming that a woman claimed, a lot of claims, that the miniatures, she could hear them talking. Like, seriously? So in the 80s, there were people who were actually thinking like the miniatures people used to play D&D were like satanic icons.
The reason for our long driving trips is my dad was getting as a judge, Masters of Judicial Studies, which could only be done, the only place in the world you could do it was at, of all places, University of Nevada in Reno.
Oh.
And wow. So judges from all over the world would come to this program as an accelerated program during the summer, usually a couple months. And usually he would be out there. We'd come out and stay a little bit, pick him up, and then turn it into a trip, take our grandparents with us. We had a whole car, just people hanging out the windows like, yeah, they're going out west. The reason I bring that up is that in the middle of all that, one of the times he was there multiple summers. Was it Judas Priest that was getting sued over some kind of satanic?
I'm sure AC/DC got sued at some point too. I mean,
but it was like going on, and the trial was actually happening in either Reno or Vegas. Because like they were going out, these groups of people in the evenings from the school, and they multiple times went to like restaurants and things where the guys from Judas Priest were. Oh. So they kept on like running into them and stuff, and And I'm sure it was interesting from a judicial standpoint to actually have that suit going on a big public, because it was a big public spectacle. I'm pretty sure it was Judas Priest. Um, you got another thing coming, guys. I think that's them.
All right, this
But
is an AI overview, so grain of salt.
yeah,
It says they did face a lawsuit filed by the families of two young men who had died by suicide.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of stuff in the news, not in any way relatable to the way stuff gets into news today with social media and stuff. It was CBS and NBC back then, but it was a pretty public thing going on, and they
So
were
the case was eventually dismissed. The Nevada Supreme Court ruled that the plaintiffs had failed to prove that the music was a faulty product.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm sure, again, from a judicial standpoint, it gave them a lot of stuff, interesting
Oh,
things
I'm sure.
to talk
Case
about
studies
stuff.
and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think it created case law and some
Mm.
stuff. I don't think that had ever been really approached from that angle before. So you get a lot of sort of landmark cases, and that are always the ones that are referred to in later cases. I think that was one of those.
But back to occultic films.
Yeah, yeah.
I would actually like to see more films like take on just, hey, it's the devil, because I do just find that interesting. But most of the media I've watched in the past 15 years that involves the devil make him a sympathetic character.
Yeah.
I'm thinking explicitly of the series Lucifer. Like he's just straight up the hero.
What was wasn't there a Good Omens or something?
Good Omens is more about angels.
I thought that was like an angel and a devil or something.
It's angel and a devil. Yeah.
I didn't watch it because
it's like it's almost it reminded me kind of the Screw Tape Letters, where they're kind of like just discussing humanity and like how humans react and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Terry Pratchett was that?
Get all these horror writers and stuff that are going back and dipping into Lovecraft trying to find
Terry
ideas.
Pratchett. Yeah.
Anybody thought about looking at the Bible?
Yeah.
I mean, you have the whole war between God and Satan, where he basically tries to get. There's a finite number of angels, and what is he? He gets a third of them to come with him. I mean, that's a movie. I mean, that'd be a good movie, probably. That's the war that happens, and I love the idea of it. It's actually I really like to know if Robert Kirkman aped off that with Invincible. Have you been watching that?
No.
I don't think it's a super spoiler, as the comics have gone on beyond that. The Viltrumites are kind of like the Superman guys, but they're out. The whole idea is that they're out to go conquer planets for Viltrum or whatever the home planet is. Is that you found out just recently in the show that there aren't any more. There's a set number of them, and that's why all these people think you can't defeat them, and it's like, well, there's not that many of them left.
Okay.
And that idea versus when God created everything, that he created this many angels.
Set number of angels.
And
so is it sort of implied that the Viltrumites are angels?
I don't think so, but I think maybe just it kind of seems like that's a pretty direct idea that
we had that
there's a finite number of them. That seems very, and Kirkman may have never even cracked a Bible. I don't know, but it's the Bible's full of content that would make some very interesting media, very good movies and series and stuff like that. But it just seems like, I don't know, I guess there's so many atheists at this point that they just don't know it's there.
I have a hard time placing when films came out. Like Hancock was in 2008. That was forever ago. Almost, it's like 15 years ago at this point.
I can only place that because of the age of Logan when we took him to the theater to see that. And that was kind of one of
and that was
like those two guys that were saying, this is very graphic in Midsommar. That was me and my wife. Like, maybe we should have watched this before we brought him.
You thought it's Will Smith, superhero. What could be wrong?
But 5 minutes into it, there's a guy with his head shoved up somebody else's rectum. I was like, wow, okay.
Those characters, so Will Smith's character in that is said to be what we consider culturally to be angels.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean,
they touch
on it.
I like to see people just not tiptoe around it. Just come out and
outright say it.
Just base it on it. It's the greatest book that's ever been written. It's there for a reason. It's there to be shared.
Well, we may see that if conservatives want to do anything culturally significant, they're going to have to start making more films and whatnot. And like you said,
If you want
that's
to
a
get
book that I
into,
can have a lot of inspiration from.
that's a that's a whole different conversation. But if you get into the way angels are portrayed, the different ones,
Mm-hmm.
angels and archangels and all that, and the actual angels that were defending the Garden of Eden, it's like that. If you actually wrote or created that the way that's written, that would be pretty terrifying. That's
I wrote in college.
is it,
I took a screenwriting course. I wrote a really, I'll use the word cringe, short film that was involving the it was two angels like right after Adam and Eve fell, and they were tasked with like making the rest of like having the rest of the world prepared for Adam and Eve, because it was like, well, they're leaving, so we got to make the rest of the world.
again,
It was
I
very
pointed
very
the one time
cringe.
to my shirt about what level of evangelizing I'm capable of. I can do the simple stuff, but it's seraphim and cherubim, right? Or
There's a lot of them.
there's there's
It's
the ones that
seraphim, cherubim.
there's the ones that were basically the guardians of
There's a
Eve,
seraphim.
and then there were ones that were also like a group of eyes, basically. And then there were the archangels, Michael and Gabriel and David.
No,
Michael and
the cherubim are the ones with the four faces and the
yes,
six wings.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Just
yeah. There's the when you look at the choir of angels, I absolutely agree. Especially horror films. I mean, they always say like, "Be not afraid," but
yeah,
we know angels can fall. So I mean, having a fallen angel as your antagonist, that's terrifying.
yeah,
And I mean, it could be very Lovecraftian. Like you said, like Ezekiel, one of the chariot of God was angels, and the part of the angels were just like interlocking wings, interlocking wheels with eyes. What? Yeah, just search like biblically accurate angels, and people have done all sorts of like artistic representations of them.
I say it when I close a lot of videos that I make. It's just sort of a general. My suggestion for most people is just be not afraid.
Hmm.
To apply that to a lot of things, just don't let other people control you. Don't live your life in fear. Don't get influenced by things without thinking about them. But I think it was repeated a lot in early scripture and Bibles, because when people actually interacted with actual angels, they were probably pooping.
Terrified.
They were pooping themselves.
Yeah.
You had to be like, "This is getting ready to happen, guys. Take a deep breath. Don't be
Yeah.
scared. It's not bad. It's just gonna be. It's gonna blow your mind."
All right. Well, that's really all I wanted to say about Ghoulies. That hey, it's a satanic occultic film. I enjoy those, and I especially enjoy them when they're like tongue in cheek and goofy.
Yeah, I don't think Gremlins has any real ties
No,
to anything satanic. It
no,
just
Gremlins is
I
more.
put Gremlins into that category of things because all these little puppet
Yeah,
demon
and that's
mischievous monsters.
and that is why I enjoyed Ghoulies as a kid.
Yeah,
I like the little puppet monsters.
be interesting to see if anybody wants to come back, and I don't know, they'd probably screw that up. CGI would probably be horrible. You haven't seen anybody come back and try to remake any of these type of things, but maybe not a direct
I'm,
remake, but maybe just look at some of the content and
I mean, honestly, with the way makers and like cosplayers and stuff make stuff now, I'm surprised we're not seeing more of a practical effect indie scene.
yeah.
Because people, the things cosplayers are making, the cosplaying costumes. I've said it for a while now. I think cosplayers are doing costumes better than Hollywood at this point.
I wish I didn't really think of that. I can probably work this into another show.
Hmm.
I don't have pictures of it.
Oh, Scooby Doo.
Uh, Gosh, what is that thing called?
I don't think I've ever actually seen Scooby Doo all the way. I was at
The spooky space kook.
spook. Oh, was that in one of the live action films, or was that?
George's boyfriend, just for Halloween, just made this. They made the helmet. They backlit it. Um, it looks exactly like this.
Nice. Do you have a picture?
I don't have it handy.
Well, you
We've
can
got it.
show me.
We've got access to it. I can show it to you. They said they were walking around and it was doing the little thing like where kids were kind of like looking up, like kind of walking wide around him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then like she said that was kind of funny. She was Vincent Price from The Tingler. She actually made The Tingler. That's a whole different thing to describe. But there were some older guys that were out trick or treating that recognized this, and they were like yelling from across the street, like, "Hey, Scooby Doo!" They're like,
That's
"Woo!"
great.
So I guess it's from the older Scooby Doo stuff. I don't know if it's in any of the newer stuff or not,
It was great that people recognized it.
but yeah, that they did this in like maybe a week, and not. They were both working jobs. They were kind of getting together in evenings and doing it, and it does look pretty amazing.
Nice.
For if you think about what they did just with their budget and their time, you see some of the stuff that people actually do at shows, cosplay wise. It is pretty crazy. Some of that though is because some of these big shows, like the cosplay competitions and stuff, they're actually pay out like $10,000, $20,000 prizes at some of the big ones. So
I've watched a couple of like recaps of those where they like show the different cosplayers, and I tell you what, man, some of the people who win versus some of the people who don't, that's a shame. I've seen some results where it's like this guy comes out in like a fully articulated alien costume.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, but this girl's dressed up like a sexy anime character. And they're like, hey, she wins. It's like, oh man, come on, look at that.
We went to Lebowski Fest and we were completely screwed because the Martha went as Donnie. we made the shirt that he's in the opening scene. Couldn't find it. We actually put the letters on it, recreated the bowling shirt. She cut her hair to where it was like Steve Buscemi was the character. I went as Donnie's element. As they keep saying, Donnie, you're out of your element. We actually made a
nice. She's Donnie, and
Donnie's last name was Karabastos.
Okay.
So that was the name of the element, and it was the number of times the what's the little chemical number that you use for elements? I can't remember exactly what the atomic number was. The number of times they said the F word in The Big Lebowski. We should have won that, but there was a girl this was at Lebowski Fest in LA. There was a girl who did like extra, like she was a career extra that showed up as Donnie just in a shirt, and she won because she was a fan favorite. We got screwed. Yeah.
I think that probably has a lot to do with it too. Is these people show up and
she had a social media following.
They have a fandom that's following them. Yeah.
Yeah. That we got robbed.
All right. Well,
I want my prizes.
You want your prizes? That's our talk on films with cults.
Lots of choices out there.
And Big Lebowski would have been a cult film. But,
that is a cult film, not a film with cults. Right. Or probably not all the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, different topic altogether. Yeah. All based off of the Endless, or not the Endless, the Empty Man.
The Empty Man, yep.
But
that was a great film.
Yeah, yeah.
And I definitely want to, and if we do read it at some point, we'll probably talk about it in an appetizer. I want to read that comic.
Oh yeah. You say that, and every time I watch The Empty Man, I'm like, I got to get on Amazon and order that.
Right.
And then my 50-year-old brain gets, hey, there's something flashy over there or something else I got to do, and I completely forget about it. I'm going to go write that down as soon as we're done because it's on my list of things I should have done already.
When we were preparing for this episode, we were just sitting here kind of ramping up. I noticed that the Ghoulies have a box set, and then I noticed Critters have a box set. I get this issue where I'm like, oh, let me get the Empty Man comic. And I'm searching it up and trying to see what the best place to get it. And as I'm searching for that comic and going to these different locations, because I always try to find the best price.
Yep.
Because if you get the first one, you'll find it for like half off somewhere else later. But anyway, I always see other things. And it's one of those things where I try to resist going to get something because I know I'm going to find like 3 or 4 other things I want.
You go looking for a copy of The Empty Man and you end up buying like a Avatar Last Airbender t-shirt.
Right. Or like the Max Compendium or something.
That's I wear a lot of Last Airbender shirts to shows, and that's literally because every time I've gotten online to do something else, somehow or another I end up there. Shirt. I don't know if that's the algorithm just making fun of me or if that's just where my brain goes. But my algorithm has figured us out. My YouTube commercial right now is for his Ultra box set of Shin Godzilla with like a black and white version.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I turn it on, it's just like, buy me. I'm like, come on, man. Like, just give me a break.
Because of the algorithm hits, because of our talks about Godzilla and stuff, I've seen that as well. That's in my algorithm now.
I've infected your algorithm.
So this episode is going to be posted on the 27th of November.
Yes.
And so the next stuff we record is going to be for December.
And we normally would have a fortune cookie segment here where
Right.
we
Do a
grab
random
our
collection or random selection.
random cookie to
Yeah,
see what our
random
next main topic is. But because this next month is December, we're going to call an audible there,
Yep.
not pull from the cookies.
Right.
We're going to just make it about some Christmas stuff.
Yep.
And
looking at the days, so the appetizer is going to be on the 3rd, the main course on the 10th, then the desserts on the 17th, and then the coffee service is on the 24th. So it's right there at Christmas. So we're not 100% sure of what we're like exactly what we're going to do, but we might do something where like we just talk about our favorite Christmas films for the coffee service, and then we'll choose one specific one to talk about for the main course. Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Because I think, we go through Christmas movies, there's those set number of movies that everybody gets together and watches. Everybody always, you hear everybody's argue every year over Die Hard, whether that's a Christmas movie or not. And you're like, yeah, whatever, guys.
I mean, we'll discuss it. We literally have not discussed this before right now, but like just right off the top of my head, I'm like, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
like that'd be great.
I've said
but
it before.
We'll talk about it.
It's non-traditional. My go-to Christmas movie, and the ones that I've shown my kids multiple times, and when we have people over, if they are willing to, we'll watch The Fisher King.
Yeah. Well, I would love like our coffee service could be, is it a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Because there's, like you said, Die Hard. Is it a Christmas movie?
Yeah, I think that's just an argument just for people to be online and argue about stupid stuff.
Of course. Is it a sandwich?
Yeah.
That's a big one too.
Yeah.
But not non-traditional Christmas films. We could do a couple of non-traditional, a couple of traditional. Yeah, we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Maybe a horror movie or two.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to talk about The Fat Man. I do want to talk about that.
You seen Rare Exports?
No.
That's a great one. That's like a Swedish thing.
Okay.
But I have to see if that's probably on a streaming service. Sometimes stuff like that, it's almost like the Empty Man.
Mm-hmm.
I put the Empty Man into the cookie jar, and then as soon as I put it in, it disappeared from everything. It has no physical copies. It wasn't on a streaming service, and I was like, then we drew it out. And
thankfully, it was on Hulu.
Whatever guides us along here, and it seems to always be sort of paving the way for us to interconnect all this stuff that we actually don't put any thought into trying to connect it at all.
Exactly.
The fact that the endless is a Lovecraftian suggestion and things like that, where it just keeps coming back around to all these like things.
Lovecraft having the tendrils that have reached out is very fitting. That's very fitting.
And just the fact that the Empty Man came right back on the streaming service like right after we drew it. I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to question things. I'll just take them as they come. So I do have copies of the movies we've talked about, except for the Rare Exports. I've got The Fisher King. I've owned that one for a long time.
So while we don't know exactly what we're going to talk about, we'll figure that out. We'll probably let you know on the next episode, which is going to be appetizers.
Yes,
which is stuff that we've watched in November.
Yeah, and some of that's going to probably come later this afternoon.
Probably, yeah. We need to go.
We're gonna go check out the
Chainsaw Man,
Resi arc of Chainsaw Man. So we'll definitely have that in our appetizers.
Absolutely. So. All right.
That's it for this time.
That's it. Thanks, Joel.
All right. Later. Bye.